Welcome back to the channel, you guys. This is your girl, Wicked Raider 22. Wanted to take a second and take a look at an area that you will unlock, you will learn to enjoy, but you will also learn how to definitely make this a part of your game. And I believe you make it to either level 35, 30, 35. I think it's 35. And you finally unlock the Forge. Now, for many of us coming into the Forge, the first thing you kind of ask yourself is, where can I obtain the materials needed to create these particular sets? And some of these sets will be a lot more helpful to you than others. Of course, in certain tournaments, in certain events, as you're moving through what word am I looking for? These ingredients, I guess we're going to go with it. We're going to go with it. These are going to be available. You're also going to pick up many of the things that you need when you're going through faction wars as well. And I will tell you now, do not underestimate the types of gear you will be exposed to. As always, guys, keep in mind, crafting is going to be 10,000 silver for one piece, 100,000 for a set of 10. But here's the other part. There are going to be a lot of times where you're looking through your sets and trying to figure out, what can I really create? And in the beginning, being able to get an artifact or a piece of gear that is a 4 or 5 star is going to feel pretty good. And as you move through, you also start to notice that there are some sets that you're going to acquire the needed materials for really quickly as opposed to other sets. Even if we're looking, for example, resilience and perception, you're going to hear about straight away. Resilience by far has been the easiest one for me to obtain materials for. But as you can see, the 3 to 4 star is going to be a lot more popular than getting 4 to 5 star or even 5 to 6 star. Now, some of these since you have unlocked Forge, you're also getting ready to move through Doom Tower, for example, which is another area where you start picking up those more rare artifacts needed to create these gear sets. If you have not dived into the usage of perception gear is a big one. Accuracy being increased by 40, speed going up by 5%. You probably likely place a speed set on their champion as well. Some of you guys have been working through particular columns within your Great Hall. So all of those percentages are going to come together. If you are finally to level 40, 45, and 50, you're going to start noticing that speed tuning your team becomes a lot more valuable, becomes a lot more important. And I'll be honest, it's one of the areas that I have continued to kind of study and to go through and really work toward, because there are some times when I'm not moving fast enough. I have champions that I've had masteries to, which will also increase certain stats, which is extremely helpful. But when you're looking at more difficult levels of Doom Tower, when you're ready to hit Hydra, which Hydra is another area, kind of like Clan Boss, it makes you look at your champions. How are they geared out? How are you building your teams? You can use certain areas, especially the Forge, to enhance the gear that's available. Now, there are a couple of sets, because there's an earlier video that I have just introducing you to this area of the game. But there are a couple of sets that I use in particular that have definitely been helpful. Once we hit level 30, level 40, Bolster became a really important set for me. Protected 30% HP ally shield for 3 turns. This is a big one, especially against those bosses that are throwing a large amount of damage. I got to an area in Ice Golem where it was a struggle. It was an absolute struggle. I could survive the waves. I was really good. But the fact that in Ice Golem, it's one of the areas where he actually revives his minions, it becomes extremely annoying. And so having those champions, especially my support champions, that are able to do a little bit more and having that additional shield was extremely helpful. Bolster was at first mainly released, or I mainly acquired it through little tournaments or events, or even when the Forge Pass would pop up, for example. But the further I've gone in, I have also noticed that I've been able to pick up more pieces of it. So don't sleep on Bolster. As you can see, even with the 3 to 4 star, the hardest thing to acquire is this piece here, which normally bolster stones are going to be given as you are completing your Forge Pass and other events kind of similar. Now, I haven't pulled or been able to dive into Bloodthirst. This is one of those relics, one of those pieces that I need to achieve and go a little bit deeper as far as Doom Tower and do my difficulty increased in order to get there. Now, Fatal is another one. I have a couple of sets of Fatal that have been nice. That attack that's increased by 15%, the crit rate increased by 5%. A lot of us have a focus in the very beginning on crit damage. The amount of damage done can be extremely high, but if the likelihood of being critical is really low, it's not really serving you as much as you probably would like. And so Fatal as a set is another one when you are able to get the materials for, it's a really good one to pull. Perception gear. There are a lot of veterans that run almost every champion they have in some form of perception gear. There are some really, really great pieces when it comes to perception gear. So I'm a true fan. It's not very hard to honestly forge for. You receive quite a few of these materials early on. Of course, you can go in and this is your rank charm, your rarity charm. Guys, this is what you are getting on a daily login basis as well. Honestly, gauntlets will become probably one of the pieces between gauntlets and boots that become extremely, extremely valuable. It's hard to have really good stats in those areas. I've always struggled with boots. I definitely appreciate having a higher chance of getting a speed charm stat involved with that piece of equipment. But I'm going to go in and show you guys this. So let's say, for example, I only have 1,000 silver because silver are extremely hard to come by. And this is another strategy that I've used even during Clan v Clan, where I really want to make some moves. My silver amount I have not been protective of, but these are the 2 days that I want to go in as hard as possible. If you go in and let's say you forge this piece. Now, I'm going to look, of course, at my stats. And for the champion I have in mind, I like to see percents all across the board. I like to avoid flat stats, but this one isn't horrible depending on where your account is. And I can tell you for this particular free-to-play account, this one I would keep for the time being, only because I know the champion. I, of course, want to have some type of speed stat on every piece of gear that's going to go on this champion. I'm thinking about those champions that are either my turn meter controllers, for example. I'm thinking about some of my nukers where I'm not pulling great gear as I'm campaigning. I have some accounts that have pulled some amazing champions, but the biggest issue I'm having is they're powering through campaign just fine, but the gear that I am still achieving at the level that I am in campaign isn't what I'm looking for. And so I work through long enough and hard enough to be able to unlock the forge for that particular reason. So this is one of those pieces that I would keep. But keep in mind, you use 1,000 silver to forge this piece. Look at how much you can sell it for. It is a nice hidden way to always have access to silver. And I'll say this again. It is one of the areas, once you start learning what stats you need, once you are very particular on, I'm going to put, I'm looking for speed and I need crit damage. I need crit rate and I need attack. I need defense and there are certain stats that you will see together on a regular basis and it begins to repeat for you. And when you obtain gear, for example, that doesn't fit into that area, you can go back in and make that change. So, for example, I have a lot of crit rate here. I'm going to go in for a 4 to 5 star because I'll get one good piece out of this one. Notice that it's 3,000. So as you're going up in, rarity, as you're going up in level, of course, you're going to also go up in cost. 3,000 silver are going in. I'm going to take a look. HP is 4%. Crit rate is 5%. Flat stat on HP and attack. This piece I am not in love with. I paid 3,000 silver to forge this piece. But this epic piece, for me, currently, I don't need it. I can sell it for 37,500. So this one's going to get sold from me. All right. So as you're thinking and as you're moving through, I want you guys to think about the forge in two different ways. Kind of keep focus of what you need, what champion you have in mind, what piece you're actually looking for. It's nice to have those charms to kind of guide the forge in the direction that you would like for it to go. Now, will I craft 10 pieces at a time? Yes, there are certain sets where I have definitely gone in and crafted all 10 pieces. There are many times. Resilience is one that I craft on a regular basis. It's one of those I don't mind crafting, even the 3 to 4, because those are materials that are very easy to come by at a certain point. I will add in charms and even run the forge without the presence of charms at times. When you are going through your set, deflection is another one that can be really, really good depending on your champion. I've used Untouchable. Untouchable is another one. Fatal is another one. I've mentioned Fatal before in this particular video. So if I have champions, for example, that I know they're coming up against a team that throws a lot of freeze, they throw a lot of stun, that is what I'm going to use, that information to come back into the forge and to see what can I do a little bit differently. Guys, you will notice that there are some accounts that will build their forge up to 3, 4, 5,000 possibilities for gear pieces that can be crafted. And you hold those until you need them. As you are going through campaign, through dungeons, through keeps, through towers, the good thing is don't forget to cleanse your gear. If you're still holding on to that 3-star gear that you fully, for whatever reason, apply, glyphs to, let it go. Let it go. It gets to a point where you need to look at those stats, use your filter, and cleanse your gear. This one is going to be a short one. Just want to make sure you're in an area where you're not forgetting the importance of what you could have access to. If you haven't used Perception on a couple of champions, especially early game, I definitely recommend it. Swift Parry is another one that you hear quite a bit about. It's going to take you a little bit longer to pull into, definitely go in and farm those materials, but this is another one that can certainly be worth it. You're going to find that honestly, Resilience and Perception will feel pretty quickly. Another one as you go that will also feel pretty quickly will be Defiant and Bolster. So those are another two, probably my top 4 that I can go in and forge without issue. Be sure to kind of look at what you have, know the direction you want to go. And before you invest in materials, ask yourself this: how far in the game will the champion go that I'm about to apply this to? If it's not going to be for much longer, you're going to be using that champion. If you're not anticipating vaulting that champion, be mindful with your resources. And if you ever need the opportunity and certainly have the additional supplies, but not the silver, don't forget there can be a really good exchange rate if you have to use this area. If you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for me. We are posting good content Monday through Friday. I think I'm probably going to take it down to just Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as we go into the holiday season and I prepare for the new year. I will be starting a brand new free-to-play for 2023. So I'm going to trim down the number of accounts that I'm running currently, bring that down to a good wholesome number, of course, and then start a brand new account for all of those who are fresh to the game, because that can be a pretty exciting time as well. For everyone who's been with me the entire time, we're going to keep pushing forward with our current free-to-play as well. But if you want to go back in with all the things you've learned and kind of see the differences between an account, be ready January 1 to make that happen. All right, guys, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.